Well, the dispute between authorities and armed protesters in Oregon may be nearing an end, but the same cannot be said for the issue that has sparked their takeover: the federal government's control over public lands. Republican hopeful Marco Rubio says reducing the federal footprint would be a priority of his administration. Here's One America News' Neil W. McCabe with a closer look into this issue.
There is a growing resentment in the western states over the federal government's control over vast swaths of land that could be opened up by the states looking to grow their economies and populations. Republican Florida Senator Marco Rubio told voters in Merrimack, New Hampshire at a recent event he is opposed to the feds holding on to so much land.
I believe the federal government owns way too much land in the country in general, and in the West in particular. They own way too much land, and they control too much land, and they don't do a good job of managing that land. And as president, one of my priorities is to try to take a full inventory of all the land holdings of the federal government.
The senator said he has been frustrated because the federal government insists on keeping control of its real estate, but it does not really know what it has. In most states, the federal footprint is small, with Uncle Sam holding 1.6% of Massachusetts, 1.1% of Ohio, and 0.3% of Connecticut. But it is a different story in the West, where the federal government controls 53% of Oregon, 80% of Nevada, and 66% of Utah. Greg Hughes, the Speaker of the Utah House of Representatives, who came to Washington to make the case for spinning off federal lands, told One America News the current situation was not the original plan.
As states became states in our nation's history, there was a disposal of the public land to the jurisdiction of the state. There are 12 states in this country where that arrangement and that process was interrupted.
Hughes said not only would the sale of federal lands bring billions of dollars to pay down federal debt, but it would launch an economic boom that would improve the lives of millions of Americans.
You have in a state like Utah trillions of dollars of natural resources, economic development that could happen, but you can't get to it.
The Speaker said the West is being held back because an unshackling of people and commerce in the West would shift power away from Eastern interests.
You want to control people, control the property, control the access to land the way that that happens. In Utah, we're feeling it. We're feeling it in a pretty big way.
Neil W. McCabe, One America News, Washington.